Welcome back to Let's Talk More on Monday. I am very excited to be joined by our founder, Arianna, today as we do a bit of an end of year recap. We are reaching the end of 2023 and a lot has happened for the More team this year. So we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about everything that has happened with the More family, as well as some more specific things about what has happened with the Let's Talk More on Monday podcast and our news segment that we feature over on Patreon. So let's get into it. 2023 has been quite the year.
No kidding. I feel like people keep asking, like, what's new with More? What is More doing? And
yes,
I don't want to say the word pivot, but I think that we've just expanded in a lot of different ways, which I think is so cool. I love that, I don't know, I think of the word pivot and I feel like it means you're turning away from what you used to do or you're going on a new path. But I feel like
we've built on what we've done.
Truly, we really have, and it's been so cool. It's been so cool to bring more people into it as well. I feel like we've had more people on the pod and in our interviews than ever before, and I think it's just expanding our platform and creating a bigger stage to host all these voices and stories that we work so hard to elevate.
Yeah, that's what we're here to do, is get people's stories out there. So the fact that we've done that for so many people, so many women this year, is very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And we have published issue 6 and issue 7. So those are out there in the world. We got 2 new massive collections of stories and new friends of More, and we launched our Patreon, and we've just got some stuff that we want to break down. So we mentioned that we've brought a lot of people in, and that goes for our interviews here on the podcast. It goes for our internship program. It goes for anybody who considers themselves a friend of More.
Yeah, I think it's been really cool. I know you just did your interview with Danielle and Carla, and I love hearing how people identify their part in More and their contribution has been. I feel like it's always interesting because I feel like I would describe it differently, and obviously I feel like whenever you talk about your friends or people that you support, you hype them up a lot more, but then it's cool to hear how they take that piece of responsibility for it and where they feel like they got to show up the most. And so it's always exciting, and I love when you ask folks what's your connection or what was your introduction. And we're talking about issue 6 and issue 7 this year. We also got to host our pre-launch happy hours in different spaces. In the spring, we were at Tactive's second headquarters. We had a ton of folks come out. We also had Adult Spring Break join us ahead of their founder to founder interview that we got to do at Ball and Biscuit. It was so fun. We also had Lumpia Creations there, serving up some pancit and lumpia. That food went so fast.
Oh, I'm sure it was gone.
It was great. It was amazing. And we've gotten to just continue growing our partnership with Tactive. They actually hosted our interns for a day. We had a content day. We got to share what it meant to us to have all of these stories that we get to curate put into a tangible form. And we were talking a little bit about how, Chloe, you and we've gone back and forth, as a lot of businesses have this year, about where can we better allocate funds or resources. And so we've gone back and forth even over having the physical magazine or expanding more in our digital spaces.
But it was so neat to see you guys get your hands on the printing process.
Yes, for sure. And I think that was such a big part of it. We were in the interview that I did with them, we were talking about what it means to have your words in a tangible form that you can physically pass on to somebody. And I think there's a whole slew of reasons as to why we won't stop doing the printed magazine. But it was such an eye-opening experience, especially to have our interns there. Some of them, it was their first time writing an article, the first time they got to share a piece of themselves. And I just think back to when we were getting started, when we were getting started in school, even those first few things that you get to do that give you some feeling of semblance that you are here and you have something that is going to stay here. I feel is so, I don't know, there's almost something spiritual about it,
It's
I don't want
empowering.
to. It is. And it's even like people that you don't know are going to physically see something that you've done. And
Yeah.
I loved that we got to have that day at Tactive. They ended up hosting, or they invited our interns to their workshop that they were doing, like a Design 101. And so our interns had an awesome opportunity to join them for that, and then to have our pre-launch happy hour, which is like such a community moment anyways, like in their space, was so
Right.
incredible. It was awesome. We had several of our nonprofit neighbors join us. We had Mujeres Conectadas join us, which was so cool to meet them in person. I'd gotten to see them around Indianapolis, and so meeting them in person was really cool. And then for them to see like their programming captured like on camera and then put into print was just really special.
And you hosted another pre-launch happy hour at a different location than Tactive.
Yeah, so then issue 7, Women in Love, we went to Maven Space, which was phenomenal as always. Maven Space has been growing, and like I am so appreciative of Amanda Kingsbury and Leslie Bailey. They always create space for more, especially as a young entrepreneur, young business. And I mean, it's an incubator anyways for female-owned businesses, and the way that they have this space to uplift and support one another has been incredible to see it grow. It's been incredible to continue being on the board with them, as well as hosting our first pop up there. We got to be part of I'm trying to think of what month it was. I think it was the November Maven meetup. We did we had a table at Style Swap, which was super cool. We got to connect with women who maybe hadn't heard of us before and share with them like how they can save a seat for like women to come. And it was really cool. We haven't done a lot of events like that in person, and so it's been really cool to do it in a space that we cannot have a tablecloth that has our brand on it and still feel like very well prepared, as like people just want to know about the women that Maven Spaces is supporting. And so we hosted our pre-launch happy hour for issue 7 there, and we had Lumpia Creations back. We also had the Milkman's Daughter, queer owned, women owned. They were mixing up cocktails for us all evening long. It was fantastic. And then we also had Filigree Bakery create the cutest
They're
branded
so great.
prawns. They were so good. Everyone was raving about those. But
Yeah, if we're going to talk about Friends of More, we definitely have to shout out Maven Space because they have been huge for us this year, not only for hosting our pre launch happy hour and for hosting us at their pop up, but just for sending women our way for our interviews. Like, so many women that I have talked to have been like, well, I happened to meet Arianna at a Maven Space. And I was like, of course you did. Like, from the beginning, Maven Space has been sending people our way to elevate their voices. So, huge shout out to everybody there.
yes, truly. And I also think that there's something so special about it because Maven Space started as a media company, again, for women by women through Indie Maven. And I love that while More is also a media platform, that we've been able to work together in a way that builds connection rather than competition.
Mhm.
There's never been any like, well, we can do this, but you can't do that, or anything like that. It's always been so like, put your foot here and I'll raise you up, and like vice versa. And I love that so much because I feel like one of the most intimidating things about starting a business was that there were so many creators in the space already, and like I never wanted to make like an enemy or like have competition with people that I look up to. And so it's been incredible to be in a space where people are looking to connect and empower and not like try to beat one another out for like a spot or placement or anything like that. And
Right.
Maven Space all day long, good energy, good people, and just good things happening.
Yeah, the vibes are immaculate over at Maven Space.
True. I know we got you there one time, Chloe, for they had that exhibit, that 1 day exhibit.
Yeah, that was awesome.
We have to get you back
Yeah, I'd love
soon.
to go back.
Yes. Yes, girl. We'll go get some food at the little pastry bar they have, and we'll do a podcast in their creator studio.
Okay.
It'll be fun. But I
Well,
mean,
speaking of the interns getting their hands into the printing process, our internship program has also really flourished this year.
Truly. I mean, we have had the honor of hosting over 17 young women pursuing careers in business, with over 70% of them being women of color and 88% of them being in their first year of college. Like, we have curated this internship program specifically to be a stepping stone, and we primarily, I mean, plainly, we prioritize first year freshmen and rising sophomores. Like,
Mhm.
it is so hard to get an internship, and we love being a space where they can come and like explore their interests and start building a portfolio that we are able to connect them with other women in the community. I know this last semester, one of our lead intern, she was like, I want to grow my network. And so like we have different ways to hold each other accountable. We're having mentoring minutes each week, every other week, where I'm asking, who have you reached out to? Who have you met with? And once we set goals, we create pathways to achieve them. And I think that there's something so encouraging about like having a plan to achieve what you want to achieve.
Having somebody that having somebody that cares about you to hold you accountable for that plan. That's
100%.
huge.
Accountability is so hard sometimes because it's like, oh, well, like I could say I did it, but like we'll just kind of give it like a half-ass little check mark by it. But I mean, it's been cool, and I'm so thankful for our partners who continue to support us. Amanda Stickle, Tax, has been phenomenal in the ways that she's continued to support us. This is her second year partnering with us, and as of right now, 100% of our partnerships go towards our Seek More internship program. And so we're so thankful for the people who continue to step up and seek more with us and just help us build a bigger table to bring people to join us.
Yeah. And we have had a really great year on the podcast for Let's Talk More on Monday, which is kind of, my baby as the podcast host. So our top episode this year was our interview with Maria De Leon, which was amazing. I always love talking to her. She has been featured in other issues of More. She's definitely a wonderful returning contributor, has lots of great things to say and really goes out of her way to connect with other women and people of color and elevate their voices as well. And we had the honor, we get our Spotify wrapped just like you guys do. So we had the honor this year of being in the top 10 podcasts for 43 of our listeners, the top 5 podcasts for 34 of you, and the number 1 podcast listened to for 13 of our fans. So shout out to everybody listening to this because that is you.
Yes, I feel like a Taylor Swift moment is coming. I should have written 13 on my
13.
end.
She'd be
Number
so
one. Uh, Taylor, is that you? Are you are listening to our
Is
podcast?
Taylor Swift a friend of More?
She should be at Taylor Swift, everybody, until she is. But it's been awesome, and Chloe, you've done such a phenomenal job interviewing and just bringing people to the table and having these conversations. I feel like we always talk about and like we always do these outlines of like where we want the conversations to maybe lead or go, but then as people get more comfortable and they're sharing, we get to like dig deeper and like jump into more personal places with people. And I think that is something that has been so special with More is like the honor that it is to host and be a place where people feel like they can share their most true and authentic selves and stories. Like I'm so thankful for that, and you've just done such an amazing job like leading that. We talking about Spotify Wrapped, you mentioned that we had a 154% increase in the minutes that we created. And that is amazing. Every one of those minutes is somebody sharing with us, and
Yeah.
it's truly amazing. And I mean, I obviously people are picking up on what we're putting down because we also had an increase of 97% in streams as well as an 88% increase in followers. And so that's just amazing. Every time you guys share the pod, every time you guys tag somebody, share it on Instagram, send them a direct link, it's amazing.
Yeah,
And
it might not seem like much, but it is huge for us.
mhm.
So thank you for everybody that shared our podcast this year, talked about it, listened to it. We are very, very grateful. And speaking of digging deeper, we also launched our Patreon this year, our Save a Seat program on Patreon. We started that in August of this year. And so far, I've gotten to do some really amazing interviews with women, just really diving deep into the topics that they presented to us, either about the article that they wrote for issue 7, or like the interview I did with Carla and Danielle, just talking about a general topic and figuring out, how it relates to us and the resources that people can use to be more informed and to take better care of themselves. So I've really, really loved doing that. And if you want to listen to some of those interviews, head on over to Patreon and check us out. We would love to see you over there as well. And we will be doing a deeper dive over there on what is next for Let's Talk More on Monday and Save a Seat for 2024. So head on over there and listen to that as well.
Yes, and if this is your first time listening or you haven't heard yet, when we launched the Save a Seat campaign, we wanted to invite our individual listeners outside of company partnerships to save a seat with us. It also supports our Seek More internship program. And as we talked about, building a table where people can pull up a chair and we can create space and save space, we want you to feel empowered to save a seat with us. And so when you save a seat, you are helping to empower our internship program, speaking back to those first year students, women in business, specifically first year women of color in school right now. So head on over. Chloe are going to jump in, dig deeper about what's to come in 2024, and we can't wait to share.
Yeah. And thank you so much for listening to this episode. Like we said, you guys are the reason that we're here and the reason that we keep doing these episodes. And we're so glad that you get to join us and talk more on Monday. So we will see you on our next episode, which will be in 2024. And we hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Stay safe, make good choices, and we'll see you in the new year.
Yep, we'll see you guys in 2024. Let's talk more on Monday.
Thanks for listening.